everyone, Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here. I hope you're having a good day. So today I'm live with my latest stamping and creating. So some of you may have seen the card that I posted earlier today on Facebook. So this is the card. It was one that Tricia very kindly shared with us how to make. At least the principles of how to make. We all made our own thing with the paper and stuff, but she gave us the instructions so that we could make this type of card. So this is the one that I made Monday using the Fitting Florets Collection. Put my teeth back in. And today I'm just going to show you how I made it. But before I do that, I seems to have got a rogue rhinestone there, but hey, never mind. I thought I would also share another card that I made yesterday using some different paper and some dies and things, just to show you another take on it. So this is the exact same card in that it's the same folds, except for this time I've used the different paper. So the paper that I've used for this one is the Storybook Gnomes paper, which is not something that you would normally think, because obviously you just think it's called Storybook Gnomes. It's got lots of gnomes on it. But on the reverse side, there's some really cute Christmassy paper. So I used that paper, and then I also used the Joyful Flurry stamp set. I just used the sentiment in that, and although I did actually use the larger stamp there for the snowflake on the inside. And then these snowflakes here are a mixture of dies. I'll just show you. See, this is the piece that I cut out. So I used these dies to create these snowflakes. So there is one here. It's not that one. I have to remember which one it is. No, it must be that one. So that one, it doesn't cut the centre. I don't know if you can see properly on this. Let's see if I take it off. Maybe you can see a bit better. But this centre piece here, it doesn't actually cut. There's no cutting there. So it means that when you cut it, it'll cut out all the little branches of the snowflake, but it won't cut the centre out. So what I did is I used that, and then I used another of the dies, which I don't think is necessarily designed to fit it. But it worked, so I was quite happy with that. There was a couple that I didn't do so well, and they kind of cut bits off by mistake, but you'll see on here that it's kind of a bit close in places, but it works. And then I just put the smaller snowflakes, one of these smaller ones here, on the inside. So, and then this is a circle from the layering circle dies. So it's exactly the same principle. You start off with the same sort of cardstock. There's 2 pieces of cardstock involved and 2 pieces of double-sided paper. It's up to you whether you want to use the same for this portion as well as the portion that goes underneath. But as you can see on both of these cards, I've used differently. They both come, so that one comes from Storybook Gnomes and this one comes from the Fitting Florets paper. You have to remember that this paper is only going to be available to the 4th of January, and it's only while supplies last. So that's just give you a heads up on that. The stamp set and the dies are actually in the new mini catalogue that comes out in January, but it's available as a pre-release, in that it's been available since the beginning of November to everyone. So if you want to get the dies and the stamp set now, you can, or you can wait until January. But the paper is only available now. So I just thought I should mention that. So, and then on the inside of mine, then I just stamped an image and I coloured it. So I'm going to do a Christmas card, but not with the Storybook Gnomes. I'm actually going to use the paper from the Fitting Florets, And what I've put here is I've actually written the instructions. Well, I say the instructions, it's the cutting instructions. So I'm going to start off with 2 pieces of cardstock. So I have some evening evergreen here. This piece measures 14.9 by 21 centimetres. And then I simply scored it in half at 10.5 to create the card base. So your base card is just a straightforward card base. So there's nothing to be too challenging in that respect, I hope. The second piece measures 16.5 by 14.9. So it's exactly the same from top to bottom as the base card, but it's just slightly longer. And then this is the piece that we're going to use to make the piece that will go on the front where the aperture will be. So as I said, it's 16.5 by 14.9. And then you need to score both ends. So I'm going to use, so we've got 1, 2 and 3 centimetres there. So I'm going to use those marks rather than having my paper hanging off the edge. It's easier to do it this way. So I'm going to score it at, and remember that the dark blade here is a cutting blade, so we want to make sure that that's completely out the way. And then I'm going to score with a lighter grey, so I'm going to do 1 centimetres, 2 centimetres, and then 3 centimetres. And then instead of doing 15.5, 14.5, I'm just simply going to turn it around. And again, so I've now got the score lines that I made earlier to the left. So on the right hand side, I'm now going to score at 1, 2 and 3. Like so. So 1, 2 and then 3. Like that. Okay. So I've got my 2 pieces of cardstock that create my base card. So I have my normal C6 card here, and then this say is the 16.5 by 14.9. It's got 3 score lines each side, and then you're going to simply fold these. So the ones closest to the middle, you're going to mountain fold them. The next one along, you're going to valley fold. And then the last one, you're going to mountain fold again. So in effect, you're creating like a zigzag. Hopefully you can see that. And then you're going to do it exactly the same again on the other side. So you're going to have a mountain fold, a valley fold, and then a mountain fold. And then you want to get your bone folder and give them a really good burnish. So you're going to, like so. Let's do both sides, like that. And that one, and then the third one on this side. Again, a good burnish. So when it stands up, so it'll actually, in theory, would stand up by itself, but we're going to stick it to the card front. So it'll look like that. So you have both ends that will look like that. Okay, right. So the next thing we want to do is we want our double-sided paper. It's up to you. What I'm going for, as I said, it's from the Fitting Florets paper. So I'm going to use this piece. And you just cut it slightly smaller than the front. So this piece measures 14.4 centimetres wide by, 10 centimetres wide by 14.4 centimetres down, excuse me. And then the piece for the front is exactly the same size. So again, it's 10 by 14.4. And in fact, I actually got them the wrong way around. So I want that on the front and that one's going to go underneath. So I'm actually, for the time being, just going to open this out again. And I need to decide which way up I want my paper. So do I want it looking like little trees, which I think is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to simply glue this on here onto this front. As much as I like that design, I'm not going to use it because it's not particularly Christmassy. So I'm just simply going to glue this. Now, bearing in mind that we're going to be cutting out an aperture, you kind of want to make sure that you do put some glue in the middle, because there's nothing worse than having that bit sort of flapping around. At this moment in time, it doesn't really matter which way round my design goes, because obviously I can just simply turn it around like that if I go wrong. So that is that. And then I am going to use, because it's Christmas, I think I'm actually going to use, again, just the simple layering circle dies. Now, I can do one of two things. I can cut simply just one aperture and make it a large one, or I can cut a smaller one, like so, and then make a border to go around it. So, and I think that is exactly what I am going to do. So I need to decide where I want my circle to start off with, because I need to die cut that. So I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of washi tape. She says, trying to find the end. You never find it when you want it. So I only need the smallest bit, because I don't want to end up pulling off any of the paper. But I'm going to go, if I go onto the inside of it, that's the bit that will be cut out. So if it does catch it, then it's not the end of the world, because it just basically have torn off a little bit of the bit that's coming out. So we're going to do that. Move my cards out the way. Now, I do have my cut and emboss machine, but it's not. This is not going to go through the mini, so I've got my big one here. Just going to reach for it. Oh, weighs an absolute ton, which is why I like the mini one, because it means I can carry it around. Right. Let's move that out the way. Bring this under so that you can see. Because I'm just simply cutting, and this is like the mini machine, or I should say the mini machine's like this, so it tells you what you need for various things. So I'm die cutting, so I need base plate 1, I need number 2, and then I need 2 of my clear plates, which, yes, they're very well used. Now this will fit through that way round, which is why I wanted to hold that down, so that I know it's not going to go walkabouts and end up in the wrong place. So I'm just going to put that through. I'm not too worried that it's squishing the pieces that ends that we've just burnished, because it's not going to be the end of the world. Now, hopefully that has gone all the way through. You can see. Let's see if we can push it out. Yeah, and obviously if it hasn't, then you can just simply run it back through the other way. But that's come out quite neatly, so I'm happy with that. And then the next thing I need is some scrap. Now I'm going to actually put a border on this using some evening evergreen, I think. So I have my bag of scraps, the ever faithful scraps. Now, I don't need a huge piece, because I'm only going to make a a circle. Let's see, that's not going to be big enough. Should have got this out ahead of time, but hey, what the heck. You know what, we'll use that, I think. So we're going to start by cutting the larger piece. Where's that die gone? Because that's a bit more manageable. If I do that, and then I can put the other one on. So we're just going to cut a whole circle for a moment. Now you can put both dies on together. In fact, actually, maybe I will do that. But the problem is actually knowing whether or not you've got an equal space. I think that's probably pretty much. See, that one's going to move around though. Let's go for it and see what happens. So exactly the same plates as last time, because we're still die cutting. If you don't feel confident actually putting both dies through at the same time, then there's nothing wrong with running it through the machine twice. So don't worry about it. It's whatever is easiest. Whoops, sorry, just hit the phone. Easiest for you to do. So now I should have, I've got my card front, and I also have my evening evergreen circle to go on there. I'm only going to glue that on. I'm not going to use dimensionals. Now, if you wanted to dimension it and have it sitting up higher, then the best bet is actually to use the foam adhesive sheets, because you can cut those out with the same die at the same time. So you don't need to worry about trying to fit dimensionals around the edge here, or it'll all be done for you because you've used the foam sheet. So we're just going to put that on there like so. Now I'm not going to do any more decorating of this portion just yet, because I want to concentrate on this. So this is the second piece that I'm going to glue onto here, but before I do that, I'm actually going to colour these berries. So they kind of look like a mistletoe, but I think I'm actually going to colour these in cherry cobbler. Just make sure that this is what I've got. So I've got my dark cherry cobbler and my real red, which is not what I wanted. Try again. Here we go. So I've got my dark and my light cherry cobbler. I'm just going to carefully, she says, colour them. Like so. And it's pretty easy to do. And I probably don't even need to colour. Actually, I think I might put it that way around. So let's see. So I just need to colour the ones that I know that can be seen. So I don't need to spend a lot of time doing the ones on the outside edge. And if you're using the Stampin' blends, you don't need to go right up to the edge, because you'll find that the alcohol marker will bleed slightly. Something very therapeutic about colouring. I do like colouring. That's those. I think I might do some others. Slightly different red. Let's see what else am I going to have. It's probably going to go about there. So I might do some in real red. No, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Use lighter cherry cobbler. This is not as dark. I actually think it is thinking about it, it is the dark cherry cobbler. So the other one's not as dark. And then this one here. Like so. And I don't need to worry about any of the others. Now this is where it's important that you pay attention to where you're putting and which way up you are putting this, because there's no you want to make sure that you've got it the right way, otherwise you're going to end up with no red berries. So yep, so that will work. So it's just a simple case of gluing this, and then you can see this is why I always say don't just simply colour on your best tablecloth or on an envelope without something in between or underneath, because it will go through. That's a very good example of it. Perfect circles, but you don't really want them on something that it's not going to come out of. I'm just going to open this up, pop this on here. So it's like a 1/2 centimetre narrower and shorter. So there is a border, but it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see that border because the whole thing will get covered up with this. So that's my card, one portion of my card front. This is the other portion. So we need to refold those score lines. And then what will happen is that this will get glued, or you can use glue or you can use tear tape. It's really up to you. So it will get put on the front like that. Now I'm going to use wet glue. Some people prefer to use tear and tape. I tried it with the snowflake one, and for me it was a little bit too fiddly. I couldn't get it perfect first time round, and the problem is that the stuff is not that forgiving. Now the other thing you need to remember is which way round this is going to go onto your card front. You don't want it going that way. You want it going so that you can actually see those oops, let me go. And then it's just a question of lining up the edges. So I don't know if you can see, but I've lined up, or tried to line up, this is why I need the wiggle room, the edges here. If I give that a really good burnish, hopefully that means that will have stuck. And then that will go folded over like that. And then that one will get glued the other side. So again, I need to make sure that this is well burnished. Put my glue on. And I know everybody has preferences as to whether they use glue or tape. So there's no right or wrong way to this. It's just whatever your preference is to use to glue things together. And again, then you want to line up the edges so that they meet, in theory, perfectly, like that. Give it a good press down. So this will fit into a normal standard size UK envelope. So when it's standing up, the aperture will look like that from the top. Probably can't see because there's not very good light. You can't really see down it. But anyway, so that's what that's going to look like from the front. And I've got a bit of a stray piece of paper there. Just need to sort that out in a minute. So that's that portion. You're then going to need a piece of basic white or very vanilla, depending on what colour you prefer to use, to go on inside the card, because the evening evergreen's not very forgiving when it comes to writing on, so white would be better. And this time I think I'm just going to put a sentiment on. Now I did grab a couple of stamp sets, and I think I'm just going to use, so this is the Brightest Glow stamp set, which is a really good Christmas sentiment one. I'm going to just put Merry Christmas on. I don't need the dies, I just need the stamp set. So there's my Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to put it on in black because I didn't think to get my Evening Evergreen or my Cherry Cobbler inks out, but hey, like so. So there's my stamp. Ink this up with the memento. Like that. I'm going to put it here, I think, and hope that it's straight. If it's not, then I'll be stamping on some scrap and die cutting it out. That's pretty good going. I like the fonts on that and the mixture of the two types. So that's going to go in here. Now I could put paper along the bottom, I could stamp something else, but actually I'm not going to today. I could see, do I have any paper somewhere, but I'm just going to stick with this for the time. Trying to use up all my little Tombow pots of glue. When I do card and a cuppa, I take the Tombow with me, and when it gets to a certain point, everyone's getting exasperated trying to get the glue out. So I tend to bring those ones home and I use them myself. But it does mean that sometimes I'm sitting there banging the tips on the table, just trying to get the glue out. So I've got my inside on my card. I've got my front nearly finished. So all that I need to do now is to decorate it. So I'm going to use one of the flowers from the Fitting Florets stamp sets. I'm going to use this one because I think these will look really nice in Cherry Cobbler and then added to here, a bit like a wreath. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have my stamp already on my block. Now because it's photopolymer, sometimes it's better to stamp onto something a little bit softer. So this is my paper piercing mat, and then I just need my scrap basic white, which I did have, because there's no point in putting it onto Evening Evergreen. Oh, there it is, I can see it. So I have a scrap piece, so I'm simply going to stamp on there. Now I could go completely to town and stamp more and have them all up on dimensionals and things, but I'm just going to keep it simple for today. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' blends. So I've got my Cherry Cobbler, my Real Red. I've got Soft Succulent, Evening Evergreen. Got lots actually, and I've also got some Daffodil Delight, because I wasn't sure if I was going to colour the centres a different colour. So I'm going to start, I think, with some, because there's two different sorts of leaves here. So I'm going to just use my dark soft succulent for one type, and then I'll use the Evening Evergreen on the others. So I'm just going to, and I'm not going to blend, I'm just simply going to colour in. It's up to you whether you want to blend. Sometimes if you're in a hurry, it's easier just to colour. And the nice thing about colouring with the alcohol markers is that because they are alcohol markers, they don't leave streaks. So you can just simply colour without leaving any streaks behind. So those are those three. I'm going to go for the dark, I think. I'll use the dark evening evergreen. Try not to sit here with my tongue hanging out. With the doing the colouring and the concentrating. Right, that will do that, and then I'm going to I think I'm going to stick with cherry cobbler. So I'm going to do the light, certainly the light to start off with, and then see how it goes. Don't know what, I'm going to colour that all red and see what happens. I'm never sure what colour these centerpieces should be. I might go with the darker colour for the centre. So I'm just trying to keep it red and green and make it a bit more Christmassy, even though this was not specifically designed as a Christmas flower. There's no reason why you can't use your stamps and make it things into Christmas flowers just by changing the colours. Obviously, probably a tulip or a daffodil might look, it's not exactly Christmassy because you have red daffodils and tulips in the spring, so you probably wouldn't get away with them, but roses, all sorts of things like that you can use to make them into Christmas flowers. And the nice thing about this is if you do want to do a bit of blending, hard work, guesswork is taken out of this, because you can see where you need to go because it's darker on the actual flower. Just going to blend those bits in. I'm not quite sure what colour to do the berries. Might just leave them white. Okay, so all I need to do now is fussy cut that, or better yet, use a die, which is what I'm going to do. So I just need to find my dies. I was going to say keeping my dies inside my boxes, but I haven't got around to doing that one yet. Well, I know it's here because I had it earlier. Here we go. So the frame floret die, so there's a die that matches that. And it is neither of those, but it is that one. So if I wanted to cut out some extra leaves and things, then I could use these. So, I can do some gold or whatever to go with, to make it a bit more Christmassy. Now let's see, I am going to need to put a little bit more washi tape on this, just to make sure it doesn't move. Trying to find, dearie me, I can never find the ends. Now this time, because I want the centerpiece, I'm going to put the washi tape so that it goes to the outside of the image. And you want to line up the die so that it's close as possible to the outline of the image. So I'm going to put these two on the outside rather than the inside, so that if it does tear a little bit, it's not going to affect the actual. And then let's see, I'm going to have to stand up to do this because there's no way I'm going to lift this again from where I put it without knocking my phone. So I'm just going to bring that in. Apologies if there's lots of shadows if I'm standing up. So it's the same setup as before. I've got the number 1, the number 2 clear, and then the thing to be die cut, and then another clear plate. So there's my image. Let's move this out the way again. So I just need to decide where I want to put this. So we could put it at the top. Actually, I quite like it there. At the bottom. I do like it there, like that. And then I can put another sentiment there if I wanted to. So I'm going to add that with some dimensionals. Like so. I'm still finishing off my edging. Waste not, want not. Every bit gets used. Now I just need to work out, where do I want to put this? Do I want it right over? Because I just need to be wary of not to put any dimensionals on the portion that's going to go over the aperture. So I think I'm just going to put them along here. Play safe for a second. And then I know that I should be good. And if I just try it again, then I know that will be fine. I don't need to worry about them sticking to the back of the inside. I'm just going to put that there. She says, maybe I did catch it. Nope, it's fine. That's that, that's that. So I could add some extra leaves and things. Let's suppose that. I do that quickly. Let's see what we've got here. So this is I was going to say it's a solid shape, but it's not. When you'll see when it comes out of the die. There's two of these as well, so that makes life a bit easier. If you can get it off the tape. That's it. So bear with me again. I'm just going to disappear for 30 seconds. So really, this card, you can use it for any occasion. It's not it's easy to make. It's just the decorating that is the thing that takes the time. So the more double-sided paper you use, then you don't have to worry about stamping or colouring and things like that, because that tends to be the really time-consuming things. But obviously, if stamping and colouring is really your thing, then go for it. But I think Tricia shared a really neat design that can be used for all sorts. I'm taking my time because these dies are stuck to my actual clear block, my clear plate, I should say. So I need to make sure that I get hold of them. Right, there we go. So there's nothing inside those. These are the actual die cuts. Like that. So we can add these wherever we want to, so we can add them further around. Just have to get all the little fussy bits out. That's the only issue. I think I'm going to put one here. I haven't glued them on yet. Put that one on here. Because they're on dimensionals, it makes it easier to actually put them on. So I'm just going to use some glue dots, I think, for those. Didn't think of having them to hand. For those of you who haven't used glue dots before, they're great little things if you can find them on the reel. So they come on reels, and then what you need to do, it's like a little round sticky thing. If you take whatever you want stuck on to it, it'll lift it off there, which is a lot easier than trying to work it out and putting it on. So I'm going to take off the end of that because I want to kind of have it going in quite far. So that is going to go in like so. That one's going to have one on as well. And just put them in places where they're going to get hidden by things. It's about the only best way to describe it. So that one's not going to go in without taking off a little bit. So that's one of the reasons why I usually do a sort of try it first to see what happens. Need that to go that way, I think. And then this one is going to go down the bottom. Like so. That one's going to go in here. Like that. And then I'm going to add some, I was going to say some gold swirls, but I still don't have mine. They're on their way. So that's that. I'm not sure that it actually needs a sentiment, but I will add some bling. Something that's sort of a gold colour. I know what I can use. I'm not going to put butterflies on, that will look silly. You don't have butterflies at Christmas. Well, I guess some people do. So these are they are actually the festive dots, festive pearls, but for some reason the packaging actually says red and gold. So if you do order them and it says red and gold, red and green, don't worry about it. These are the festive pearls. So I'm just going to add a couple of those, I think, maybe 3 or 5. The odd number. So I'm just going to add some gold, I think, in places. One, 2, 3, 4. Let's put another one on. No, that doesn't look right. I always say just go for it. Let's put it there. There we go. And maybe there should be some more down the bottom. Oh, I think I'm done. So that's my Christmas card using the Fitting Florets paper and the Frame Florets bundle. So and then this circle has been done using the layering circles. So the front looks like that, and then on the inside I've just simply had stamped Merry Christmas. So I will decorate an envelope, and I will post a photo of the completely finished card with the envelope. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. As I said, the Fitting Florets is available now, although you will find it in the January to April mini catalogue when that comes out in January. But you can get hold of them now. The paper is on limited release and will only be available to the beginning of January. and it's also only available on while supplies last, just so that you know. I'd hate for you to decide that you want some come middle of December and it's basically all gone. But who knows? Haven't heard yet what the last ordering date for Christmas is, but again, given what's going on with shipping and stuff like that, again, I'd suggest that you did it sooner rather than later. I think normally it's around the 16th, 17th of the month, of December, but I'm going to get my orders in early December, so just to avoid any chaos that could happen. I mean, it's bad enough having postal strikes and all sorts of other things that are going to be going on in December. But there you go. All right, so thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing that. The video will go up on YouTube as soon as I can get it there. And as I said, I will post photographs of the card and the other Christmas card that I made, and they'll go up on Facebook later too. So next week's another Stampin' and Creating week. The first card in the cuppa is not until the 16th of December, if that's a Wednesday, or the 14th, whatever the middle of December is for on a Wednesday. But anyway, so I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.